Let's speak now to Peter Bleksley, former Met Police detective, because, Peter, you and I sat here in the studio together over the weekend, and you were the first person to say, I've seen the videos, Essex police were bringing these counter-protesters into the heart of the protest. Spoke to former policeman Chris from Manchester earlier, who said, well, actually, that is potentially, operational protocol. And I'm there thinking, I don't get this. I don't understand why you would allow a load of militant activists, okay, some of them were those funny women with the chunky jewellery and the sort of 1980s hairstyle who seemingly have some sort of psychopathic overindulgent empathy towards migrants, but some of the other people looked pretty freaky to me. So I don't understand the thought process behind going, oh, here's a sort of calm-looking protest, let's get all these wrong-uns in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was listening to Chris when he called in. Was interesting what he had to say. And in essence, he is saying a lot of what Chief Constable Ben Julian Harrington of Essex Police said yesterday. And to a point, they are both right. Protest, of course, peaceful protest, is a core fundamental of being British. It's the very essence of Britishness, one might argue. But that right, that privilege to be allowed to peaceful protest does not come at the expense of crime, of creating disorder, of manufacturing situations whereby there could be harm caused, people injured and property damaged. Now, Essex Police, when they walked that group of protesters towards the demonstration near the Bell Hotel in Epping, they knew they were creating a situation that would undoubtedly become heated. But they, in their fluffiness, in their wokeness, they decided that allowing that peaceful protest was more important than potentially creating a situation where there would be disorder. Hear me out just for a moment. Let's flip those circumstances. Imagine if the large demonstration of 1,000 people or so was your stand up to racism, Antifa kind of mob. Imagine if it was the other way round. And say 50 men in Dr. Martens boots, turned up jeans, T-shirts, braces, bald heads, and carrying the Cross of St. George flags turned up in a situation identical but reversed. Would they have been allowed to get as close to the larger demonstration or not? Of course they wouldn't. They would have been surrounded, they would have been kettled in exactly the same way that a group of those kind of protesters were kettled on Westminster Bridge when there was a pro-Palestine march going on not so long ago.
Does this come down to sort of cock-up where it's, woke policing? Oh, the left wing, it must be nice because they're on the side of good and righteousness. And if you're shouting that refugees are wonderful people, despite the fact you might look like you're going to shoot someone when you go home, then, you're a good person. Is it simply that? Or is there something funny going on? Because I think back to Southport, and there were all of a sudden, you saw that, I've looked at so many still pictures and so many videos, and you got your big sort of red-faced man with his beer belly, shouting, can of lager in hand, about to throw it at someone, your ragtag, scrappy little geezer with his hoodie up. But then you seem to have people who were dressed like ninjas, like paramilitary in there. And I'm like, who were they? Where did they come from? And we were told back then, oh, it's the far right. They've been bussed in around the country. And it wasn't, as far as I'm aware. We were never given any evidence. There were never arrests of sort of organisers of football hooligan gangs. And then increasingly, I'm beginning to ask the question, like I did last summer, when you have this Socialist Workers' Party, these stand-up to racisms who seem to be able to assemble very quickly with their ballies and their face masks on, with their banners, who's funding them? Where's that coming from? How do we know there's not foreign interference there with people deliberately trying to whip up a fervour on our streets because it suits them if we're destabilised as a nation?
May I just point out that the red-faced, beer-bellied man you were talking to is not a reference to me, I hope.
No, you don't have a beer belly, Peter. You're a nice, svelte gentleman.
not quite. But this whole kind of issue is about, is there inconsistencies in policing, which then makes people think, is there some kind of conspiracy going on?
Right.
When you have a group of protesters who might be waving Union flags, across the St George's flags and the like, who get kettled by the territorial support group on Westminster Bridge, detained for a couple of hours, many of them handcuffed, and not allowed to move because there is a fear they will cause disruption with the protest that's going on that is completely like non-aligned to them, for example, pro-Palestine, Antifa and the such like. When you get that happening, and then you get identical circumstances that are merely flipped, and those people are walked to that demonstration, some of them masked, some of them muscular, some of them looking like they are not going to be there for peaceful protest. When they get marched to the Bell Hotel at Epping, of course people are going to go, this is inconsistent. There's not one rule throughout here being applied. What is going on? Why do the police allow that mob to go to a demonstration? Why do they detain another group of people? Is it because of their political leanings? Is it because of their liberalism and their wokeness? Is it because they are left of centre themselves and they therefore want to facilitate it? Or is it, as I suspect, they're just blooming hopeless?
Do you know what I don't understand, Blex, is this nation and the Western world seem to spend an inordinate amount of money and energy and concern and political posturing trying to defeat the dark forces of communism in the world, right? In the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, we wanted to put weapons in space because of the dark forces of communism. And now all of a sudden, you have these far left groups, these Antifa ones, these Socialist Workers' Parties ones, and nobody is going, who are they? Who funds them? You call yourself a party. Where's your leader? Where's your manifesto? Sit there, answer my questions. No one's doing that. We're just like, oh yeah, mad communists, bring it on. When did this happen? What is going on?
Well, with regards to policing, of course, what happened in 1997 or thereabouts was Tony Blair said education, education, education. And some smart and ambitious police officers thought, we'll have a bit of this. And off they went to university to get their degrees. And they came back with their heads brainwashed with pseudo-intellectual Marxist claptrap. And so the police service we have today is unrecognisable from the policing of my era. And whilst policing will never be perfect because it's full of people, basically, it has fallen a mighty long way, not only from what it was, but from what the public want, expect and deserve. It has been politicised. When you look at the College of Policing that hands down its diktats, its rules, its regulations, its attitudes that need to be slavishly adhered to, and you look at that quango, which is the most pointless quango on the planet, it is little surprise that you have chief constables like Ben Julian Harrington saying this yesterday in response to a question about that policing operation at the Bell Hotel in Epping. Give me one moment as I put my glasses on and read verbatim what he said. I've taken out the ums and the ahs, stumbles, okay, because you could see his brain churning. He said, and I quote, "It is not for me to comment and to try to criticise or indeed to examine that operation." Excuse me?
What?
Not only are you the Chief Constable of Essex Police, you are the national lead for public order issues and policing operations. It is very much your position to criticise, to comment on that operation. It's factually your job. And he ducked it. And this is the kind of policing. This is the pernicious lack of responsibility that has crept into so much of public service, and in particular, policing. This is why we're going to hell in a handcar.
What do you make of the police going, we just aren't ready for a summer of unrest? Oh, we've been stripped back to the bone. We don't have enough officers. If people are protesting outside migrant hotels and we've got to have boots on the ground there, we're not going to be able to do our normal day jobs. And I'm like, what? Your normal day jobs? Like nicking people for using a hurty word?
When Starmer got on his high horse last year, and understandably so, in an effort to quell the riots, and I do not condemn violence and rioting, let me tell you, if you do that, you're an idiot. Starmer, when he said people will face the full force of the law, the police were able to mobilise 6,500 police officers. They can mobilise if need be. They can deploy in huge numbers if need be. And I fear that we may be seeing that because this country is an absolute tinderbox with this squire as manifested by your brilliant callers, and it's what's out there. I'm on the streets every day talking to ordinary people. It's a blooming tinderbox. And in response to that, this lamentable Prime Minister and his deputy yesterday said to Cabinet, improve integration. No. Get a grip on immigration. That's what they need to be doing.
But when they talk about lip service, improve integration, that's great. What do you want to do? Build some youth centres? I mean, we've been listening to this for 2 decades now. Oh, it's not the fault of the people going out causing havoc on the streets. It's because they don't have anywhere to go and learn DJing. It hasn't worked. What we need to do is say, what does integration look like? Oh, it looks like British values, which means let's stick our flag on every public building. Let's take down all the political flags, whether it's trans lives or Gaza. Let's get rid of all the BLM nonsense. Let's say to people, you ain't wearing a burqa because guess what? We can't see your face. That means you're not integrated. Let's enforce the fact that people need to speak English by saying you don't get a translator. Do you know what? In the modern world, you can use your phone if you really need to. Why aren't they? They're not going to come up with a single policy for integration because everything that requires being done in order to create integration is the sort of jingoistic celebrate the nation and discard other cultures that they hate doing. It's the photo negative of what they believe in. Their idea of integration is we all need to celebrate Ramadan. It's just madness.
And let's stop boatload after boatload after boatload of sex-starved, involuntary celibate men who we don't know who they are. We don't know where they've come from. We don't know their motives and intentions. Let's stop all those thousands upon thousands of people coming to this country and being parachuted onto our streets where we know a significant number of them are committing sex crimes.
Honestly, Peter, it's the British public can see what's going on. This is why they're furious. And where are the politicians? Where are they? They don't speak to us. They don't address us. They don't like us. Peter Bleksley, former Met Police detective, always awesome, always amazing. Oh, well, I despair.